And seeing no one from the public, I'll pass the public comment piece. Approval of the minutes. I don't know how you want to do this, Katie. I had a couple questions on some of the minutes.
I have her minutes because they're in Google, so I can.
I've got a copy here too.
Yeah, so
if we can mark up a copy.
Okay, so my questions were on under the Friends report, item number 6. I think she jammed a few words together, little fluffy.
Yes, it should be little FL for free libraries, little FL looking at the Hope Center.
okay.
See what I mean?
Yeah,
It-
I got it.
okay.
I made that edit. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and then
Flocking. Flicking?
I thought we should get that out of there.
No, that's a good one.
And then under item C, the motion ordinance and from Nancy and I had a discussion on this. And I guess I'm supposed to send the documentation to the city officials.
I said it.
But you sent it to the attorney, which I think is what we.
Yes, we said including the city
agreed to.
attorney first, so I
Right,
sent it to the attorney.
right.
I don't have a response yet, but
And then
will
I
soon.
send it on.
Yep.
All right, so
If you could,
library director will send to city attorney?
Yeah, and I already did, so. Yeah, it said including city attorney first, so I went ahead and sent it to the city attorney.
great.
And then the board chairperson will send to appropriate city officials.
Yeah. We'll see what the city attorney says we actually have to do with it. Which is maybe nothing.
When he gets back in a couple of months.
No, he's been good. We have a new system that's actually working.
I'm sorry it'll be in the film, that was smart.
That is, by the way, the recording is on, so.
I don't think I said anything on the board yet.
You never say anything untoward, Nancy.
Right.
Always good.
I apologize to the city.
Okay.
I'm not gonna go on record and apologize. And then item, under old business, item E, board term limits, suggestion from the city. Somewhere in there, I just wanted to add that our board unanimously approved the suggestions
Okay.
from the city clerk. So now we are on
And what I-
official.
Yeah, and what I will do is keep in my paper copies, I will attach that.
Right, that
To the
we are
minutes.
officially on the same page.
Okay.
That's what I had. Who had
That's
anything
all I
else?
had too.
Anybody else?
I saw the flipping.
So, sorry, for the board term limits, you just said,
Accepted as suggested by city.
Unanimously accepted as suggested by the city clerk.
I don't see anything on my Teams thing, so.
Does she have Teams?
You can invite anybody with an email address,
yeah.
so.
It always tries to force me to install it whenever I do manual.
I'll keep it on for a little bit. So that's good. We did find out last time that the city has one Zoom, which is what Zoom channel, which is what happened, and there wasn't a great way to find out if someone else booked it. So we think guests are waiting in the lobby. You go.
So we do have a Zoom account here that we can use. Help hands.
Hold on, I'm admitting Catherine.
And as I recall, you're actually a corporate member. The library is a corporate member of LPM. So you have access to all of our tools and software.
Hey, Catherine. Just so, we can hear you kind of quiet, but that's about as loud as it gets.
Okay, thanks for doing this.
Can you hear us?
I can hear.
Like, we're in the middle of it.
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, we'll try and yell.
Hope you're feeling well or better.
Thank you. I'm sure it's just a cold, but didn't want to take any chances.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
With your schedule, I don't blame you.
No.
Okay, so we were just at item number 3, approval of the minutes. We made some proposed amendments, and I'm just putting that, are you okay, Katie? So do I have a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
I'm not allowed to do things.
You can't do that. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm assuming your hands up, Catherine. All in,
Just use the little icon.
Oh, yeah.
Good little hand.
Do I need to send that to you, or can you grab it from the Google Drive, Nancy?
I can grab it. Hold on. It's all right. No, why it's not. You still there, Catherine?
Yeah, it's a little spotty.
Okay.
okay, we're gonna move on then, if you're okay, Katie.
I am ready.
Okay, so item number 4 is the normal reports. Nancy, do you want to do?
Sure.
the library director's report?
We had our first in probably not ever, but a long time staff day. No one can remember when the last one was. We did a staff and service day on Veterans Day. I've been campaigning to do that for 3.5 years since I got here. So we chose a day when we were already closed to the public, so there wouldn't be a lot of pushback on closing together. But all of our staff has not been together for a long time, COVID and other reasons. So we had kind of 4 different sessions besides some recognition of lots of things that have happened. Staff anniversaries. We've had one staff that passed away during COVID. We had one person's husband pass away during COVID. We had one person's son pass away during COVID. So we kind of acknowledged all of those folks. We took a couple minutes to acknowledge Veterans Day, and we have one recent veteran, our security person, Jake, on staff. He spent 6 years in the Navy. So as a Russian translator, I'm on submarines. So
You have a Russian-speaking security guy?
Da. We do. So he's the best.
No fear of Putin here.
But also a few minutes was fascinating, just asking folks, who in their immediate family was a veteran, and we had everything from someone whose grandfather, literally hung out of planes taking pictures in World War II to all kinds of different military service, so that was cool. We went on to our sessions. So one of our sessions, probably our longest session, was a very participatory training session on how to enforce the rules in a good way. So we have all those standards of behavior from the city, but some things we're more stickler about than others. For example, really making sure that staff enforce the rules equitably, not necessarily equally all the time. We had the city's standards of behavior. If you look through them, they lump a lot of things together, and some are really more egregious than others. Sleeping is one of the things in a public place, but it's sleeping if it interferes with other people's use of the space. So if someone nods off for a few minutes, we let them be. We let them have a few minutes of a snooze. If we think that they're passed out because they're potentially overdosed or due to a health issue, we wake them immediately, etc. So we talked about the various rules, which included quite a discussion on masking, as is to be expected. People keep telling me, "Oh, I'm sure you don't have any problems with that at the library." Well, we've had some interesting experiences with that, including at one point a couple who climbed under a table and refused to come out or put on a mask. So we had one woman that called that was very upset about potentially, she read something about disposable masks that said that the Chinese government was infecting them with something, and we were passing out these disposable masks to patrons, and did we know where they came from? I said, I guarantee China. So, well, there's writing in Chinese on the packages. So talked to her for a little bit, calmed her down. I said, if you were going to die from the Chinese government, imbuing their everything made in China with some harmful substance, you'd be long since dead. So she laughed. So
She left or laughed?
Laughed.
Oh, good. I'm
At
glad
that
to hear
point.
that.
So,
Too much Facebook time there.
but there's 2 people that we've had to question what our masks, our disposable masks are made of, which is interesting. So we finally did have to crack down a bit on the rules as far as masks go, because there were some folks that delighted in having us tell them multiple times per day, every single day, to fill out their mask. And so finally, we said, okay, if we reminded you X amount of times, then we're going to suspend you for a while. So, including the one man that yelled at me, "You need to stop reminding me all the time." I said I'd be happy to do that if you'd actually wear it.
Put it on, right? Yeah.
So, not as bad as it could be, but still a battle. We had 3 speakers that came in to talk about some social services that are available in Longmont that people are maybe not quite as familiar with. We had 3 people from LTHERE, which is part of, it's LTHERE. That is a street team that goes out and basically refers folks to services and to housing if they're eligible. We had one from the Recovery Cafe, which is right over at the Presbyterian Church over here. So for folks who are in recovery from just about anything, it could be substance abuse, it could be mental illness, it could be whatever. And then we had Andy from Hope. With 2 shelters, we have a very good relationship with the folks from Hope. They come visit the library often and to speak to people because we are the de facto day shelter. So that'll come up a little bit later, but we are partnering with Hope on, we have amassed lots of books for them for the equivalent of a little free library. And we have 6 of our Chromebooks that we sent over there as an experiment, and that's going really well, just to have them available for folks to use while they're in the shelter. So, folks need internet access, or maybe they want it to do something while they're in there. So that's been a good partnership, but it was just good. We're really trying to compile a more user-friendly, short handout of services in Longmont. Because what we had before was this giant community services brochure that just had names of organizations and phone numbers and email addresses, which to the person who doesn't know what's where doesn't do anything. So we're making a small sheet of paper and also a business card size thing, which says, here's where I get food, here's where I get overnight shelter, here's where I get clothing, here's where I get a shower, and really giving people the basics of what they need. We don't need to hand them a brochure with websites on it for folks that mostly don't have internet access. So trying to improve our referrals. We also had a session that was run by our staff who are fluent in many languages on how to help patrons with limited or no English language skills, which we do get sometimes, and sometimes it's not just Spanish. It's other languages, that we don't have anyone who speaks that language in there, and so there are various options available to us, anything from Google Translate to the city. City gives us access through the city to a language line, which is amazing. So you can call this language line, put it on speaker with the person in front of you, and it does so many different languages and hooks you up with a translator. So it's a really cool.
Is that a general city service?
That is a city service. It could be. It's linked from their city website.
Really?
It's linked from the website. It's pretty darn cool. So
Is that a live person? Or
you get a live person.
Wow.
And they do help you. So we've had folks on rare occasion who do not speak. We have folks that speak a lot of different languages, but sometimes we'll get someone in who doesn't speak.
Sure.
So that was really useful. And then we had our last longer session before I did some updates there on serving teens in the library, since we have an expanded teen space. This was we used a couple of humorous things that were disseminated by other libraries of just how to welcome teens and how to kind of expect teens to be teens, which I think we do a pretty good job of anyway. So not expecting them to necessarily be miniature adults. So we're happy to have that extra teen space where they can play video games together and be loud sometimes and not disturb anything. So in-person programs and story times have started up pretty much across the board. We're getting lots of little rugrats in again for story times, which parents are very appreciative of that. Our prospector service, which allows our patrons to...
So back up a second.
Oh,
Are you
sorry.
doing those in the library?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
But we are limiting to registration. We don't normally register for our story times, but sometimes we'll get 100 people that way. So we're limiting it to 20 at a time, but we're adding story times.
Are you recording?
I don't know. Let me ask Claire, because we should.
Yeah, we love them. They're very popular every morning.
We have our little groupies for the online story times,
Yeah.
which is very cute. So some of the moms and dads will come in and say, my son watched Miss Valerie 11 times.
So they will rewatch it for sure.
Yes.
Over 20 kids or 20 people?
20, I think it's 20 kids, but we've been able to, like, this week, since it's so nice out, we've been able to do several of them outside in that renovated keyhole opening, which is nice. We still try and space people out as much as we possibly can. Let's see, staff is really excited. We are bringing Prospector back in January. I'm going to put that in as a funding request in case the consortium didn't do it. We're just going to do it on our own. That's the system by which our patrons can order materials which arrive very quickly from anywhere in Colorado. And I think a little bit of Wyoming. There's a couple other smidgens.
Kansas, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. But it's something that apparently some of the libraries that did without last year in our consortium didn't miss it much, and our patrons were very, very vocal.
Huh.
And I have to say, if I were a patron, I'd be one of them because it's great. I mean, there's very few things that you can't get from basically every library in Colorado. And I'll order something one day, and in 2 days I'll have it from Denver Public or somewhere downstate. So that's coming back. Our sorter bids all came in. We had 5 companies bid, which was really good. We've gone over the bids. We've narrowed it down to 2. Costs are about what we thought they would be, but we're not sure yet how much the cost of the cutting the holes in the wall and doing the wiring will be.
Do you want to say what range they're in, or is that?
No, not really. I mean, it depends. I don't have a good single number for you though, because we asked them to give us several different scenarios.
Let me ask it this way, is it in line with the numbers you gave the city, do you think, or do you think?
It is, but I'm not sure we'll have enough if we count in all the construction that has to be done.
Okay,
So I don't know what
might
those
be a
costs will
little
be.
high.
It might be, the amount the city gave us will cover the sorter and the peripherals, but I don't know if it'll cover all the construction part. So we don't have those numbers yet. But really we've narrowed it down. We haven't had our official meeting to go over our bid reviews, but there were really 2 companies out of the 5 that were clearly on top, that are very similar. We may have to talk to those 2 again. We have some questions for them because they're just, I think, anecdotally from when I've talked to the other folks who are doing the ratings, they just had them. Mine came out the same. And I mean, different things in different categories, but mine came out with the same number. So one of them is a little bit more of a well-known product. The other one is well-known, but it's a little more innovative. So I know I lean one way, and some other folks might go for the safer route. But we asked them to give us bids for 9 bins, 11 bins, and 13 bins, and one of them did a really creative design and could give us up to 16.
So bins.
What the bins are is that here you have this conveyor belt, segmented conveyor belt machine, and you program these bins, which are like big. They can be canvas, they can be metal, whatever they are, and it shoots the materials into these bins. It sorts them according to the RFID tags, and then figures out, oh, this is the children's picture book. This is supposed to go in bin 6, so it shoots it off into bin 6. So from those bins, when a bin is full, you can take the bin away, and it's all the same thing. It's all been checked in and sorted. So it's all children's DVDs in one bin. So all the person has to do is put them on a cart, go shelf them. And right now we have multi-steps.
Do you have to then go back and label your collection with those codes so that the catalog can read it, the sorter can read it?
No, sorter's magic. So,
Sorter.
so no, we have things that are location codes and item types and those type of things that are already embedded in the online catalog, so we can sort by whatever parameters we choose. So the more bins, the better the machine is, because that's more categories and we can sort. So, for example, if we had 16 bins, we could have bins assigned, like Boulder could have a bin of its own because we get so much stuff that we exchange with Boulder. So, the more it's pre-sorted for us, the less we have to do afterwards.
Right.
So, and right now, we get stuff in, people hand check in, 2,000-3,000 items a day. And you always miss something because the machine beeps when you check it in, whether it's checked in or not. So you have to rivet it to the screen, which is hard after a while. And then they pre-sort those materials onto shelves, and then they put them on carts, and then they go shelve, and this cuts out multiple steps. So, and also these bins, these conveyor belts and things going into the bin can sort about 2,500 things an hour. So it is a huge difference. So we would feed in, like things that we bring in are big giant bins that are inside of our book drops, for example. You bring them in and you run them through the sorter. And it's so much quicker. So it's more accurate.
When would you like to get that in and online?
Well, that's on, that's a little bit, it's in next year's budget, not this year. So we're not in a huge hurry to do this. We expect that the process will start as soon as we can start it in January, because we'll have everything finalized with the city and the contracts by then.
You do think you'll have it finalized with the city?
Yeah, I do. I think purchasing has been really good. They're on top of it. So I think that they've given us somewhat different time frames, but it looks like the time frames between the time we order it and the time that it's fully implemented is probably about 120 days. And part of that is due to delays due to COVID. So these have a lot of metal in them, et cetera, and those have been, anything with metal, shelving, anything like that's been really hard to come by. But really happy with the responses. They were very different. So I tend to always like people who think outside the box a little bit and don't just look at this and say, let's just make this in a straight line, and I like to see what people can do with our space. So this is something that, obviously people aren't going to lose their jobs to a sorter, but no one's going to miss that rote checking in of items. That means that they can be off, will be finally caught up, and they can be off doing other things. So one of my previous libraries where we had a sorter, every day we have something called a pick list in the library. And that is all the things that everybody has on hold for us, and you're looking anywhere from 30 to 60 pages of stuff, and you're going around the library and you're trying to find all these materials so that you can check them in and send them on their way to people with holds. And at that library, sort of like this one, we almost never finished it. So you always have stuff rolling over. It's like, it's Sisyphus thing. So it's just like the rocks coming. So at that library, we never finished it. And after we got the sorter, every single day it was finished before noon. So it was just a big difference in the amount of time that things took. So, that was my one concern, I guess, when I interviewed at this library, was its back of the house operations were very behind what I'd seen in the other libraries. And so I feel like we're getting into the current century now. We've also begun pre-processing some of our items, which we're starting with fiction. We're not a big enough system that we would choose to have a vendor catalog our nonfiction items, because we're pretty specific about where we put things. But fiction, there's no reason for us to be putting on Mylar covers, stickers, labels, RFID tags by hand when the vendors can do them like this and it's really cheap. So our labor costs more than what we pay the vendor to do it. So that's begun and it's gone really well. So things arrive before the release date, before our patrons know release dates. They look at Amazon and they say, this is coming out December 1st and I'm number 12 on the list and you have this many copies and where is it? So, which we like. So that's going well. So we're mechanizing the back end. And we have purchased new self-checkout machines, which were grant funded. So we had several from one particular company who I won't mention, but they were not particularly old, but one of them was dead as a doornail and unfixable in less than 2 years. And the other ones have had a lot of problems, so we replaced all 4 of those with a different company's product. We do around 75% of our checkouts on our self-checks. Folks prefer to use those. They will come to the desk if they have anything that doesn't check out, or some of the folks that prefer to not check out with the self-checks, but most people do. Some of it is efficiency and a lot of it's privacy. A lot of it is just that folks want to check out their own things, not let everybody see what they're checking out. Compact shelving has been a saga upstairs. We did have a person who bid and won the bid. I have no idea how much the bid is. It doesn't go to us for that compact shelving that we were getting rid of upstairs. The one that we no longer wanted, but we were told by the company that had installed the shelving, it would cost, if we paid them to disassemble and take it away, it would cost about $18,000. So we thought that was a lot, but someone did bid on the shelving, and with the condition that they would come take it away. There were 3 or 4 people, they spent 8 hours, 9 hours, 2 weekends ago, and they got 3 shelves down out of that. So apparently it was rather tough, and they've kind of given up. So the city's now trying to figure out if we have to put the rest of it up, which is like a partial step, so I don't even know if it works on the tracks anymore, or if we can hack it to pieces to get it out of there. So this is very unwieldy shelving, and it is bolted within an inch of its life to itself and to the ground. So,
This is the stuff on the second floor. This is where you had your magazines and archive stuff.
So we're still working on getting that out. So that's where our computer lab is going to go out of it instead of its temporary horrible space. So we're looking forward to doing that. And Jason was climbing all over the top of it, and he thinks that we could probably do it. So it's just, we had
Call 1-800-GOT junk.
probably,
I'm not kidding, try it.
yeah, I would tell
They'll
them.
take away anything.
This is on the city, but yeah, they would, actually. It's metal.
It's expensive from the individual's perspective, it
Yeah.
would be cheap for you.
Probably would. And then my only other thing is the Friends book sale. The Friends are in a frenzy. The Friends board has had almost a complete turnover in the last year and a half or so. So I don't think any of the folks, maybe one, who are doing the book sale have ever done one before. So they're a little nervous.
I was saying, why are they your friends?
Because they're just nervous, but they're doing fine. So,
Isn't that starting what, the 18th?
yes, 18th is Friends Night, is Friends Membership Night, and then it's the 19th and the 20th is regular book sale, and then the 21st is like the bag sale, where you get big discounts if you take it away by the bag. So we have a ton of those. So once we opened up donations again, I swear people were hoarding during the pandemic.
We were.
So lots of stuff going on, but we're looking forward to it. People are very excited about the book sale, as are the Friends. We're excited for them to have a book sale and start to make money again. So I think they're doing a good job. We're just trying to help it out.
I had, I guess I had one question on what you covered off. So you had mentioned something about Chromebooks to the Hope Center.
Mm-hmm.
Have you found that there's a relationship between giving access to the homeless and the number of homeless you get in the library? So
We've always given access to everybody who wants
No,
access.
I know, but let me say it a different way. So by giving the homeless, if that's the right way to say it, access through the Hope Center, do you also see them come to the library? So it doesn't
No.
impact your traffic any, it just
No.
is more convenient for
It's
them.
just more convenient, and also it's boring in the evening. I mean, if you go to the shelters, it's pretty boring and it's pretty stressful for folks who are there. So we're trying to give them reading material, a computer, some things that will make the time pass a little bit more easily. So we'll still, I mean, we recognize a lot of the folks that use the shelters, and like I said, several folks from Hope come in regularly to talk to folks, to talk to them about temporary and permanent shelter housing, etc. So I imagine that we'll still have our same amount of folks. We are starting to see a lot of new folks, of new people, and a lot of folks who are experiencing some mental illness and homelessness and some other issues that is not atypical as it starts to get colder. It's just, I think because of that kind of COVID break, we're used to kind of seeing the same people all the time for a long time, and then a few new people, and we're seeing a lot of new people that they bring their own issues and problems in. But one thing that we've noticed though, because we do have access to some of the weekly police reports and arrest reports and things, and some of the folks that do tend to get in trouble around the community behave very well in the library. So I think I think it's because they need to use the library and they need to use the computers, and I think we probably treat them really well compared to how they're usually treated. So sometimes I read those reports and I think, wow, this this person's really soft-spoken and very polite in the library. So that's what we've seen quite a bit.
That's fascinating observation.
It's happened over and over again.
Just on its surface.
Yeah.
And then I had another question. I don't know if this is the right time to bring it up, but I found this article. I think it was in the camera. It was on card requirements between.
Closer to the people asking questions.
Okay.
Just briefly.
Okay.
We'll pass you around.
We'll pass you around.
All right, I got you now. So I was explaining that I picked up this article. I think it was in the Boulder Camera. It was back in October, the end of October. It talked about local libraries partner to provide student database access. You do that, right?
We are negotiating that right now. So Boulder Valley already did it with the other libraries in our consortium. They're in the Boulder Valley School District. We are working our way through this, all the legal stuff with St. Marie Valley, and I expect it to work fine. What it is a system by which the kids in the district can have access to all of our subscription databases without necessarily having to have a library card, but using their student numbers. So we don't have any identifying information on them. It's like a student privacy thing.
Really? There's a problem with requiring a library card?
In some cases, in some cases, maybe parents don't come to the library and sign their minor child up for a card. But
this article suggests that it might include students who come from families that are undocumented.
yeah, it does.
So
You have some folks who are from families who are experiencing homelessness, who don't have a permanent address, who would normally have just a limited use card. So we're trying to give access to every student in the district, and it'll increase. Number one, we're already paying for these databases. We're not paying per access, so it'll increase our access, and it'll increase. There's so much good stuff in our databases that if they were educated on what's in there, it would really help people. So
yeah, there was another point in this article that I found surprising. I don't know if it's true for St. Vrain, that they charge $1,000 to $1,500 annually to have access.
Who's
Boulder
they?
Valley says this is, according to this article, there's not a similar system in Colorado. In Boulder Valley, she said, school libraries, especially in elementary and middle schools, often can't afford the $1,000 to $1,500 annual fee.
it's more than that. It's more than that, actually.
Yeah, some
But some of them are very
That's a lot of
expensive. Yeah,
money.
that's a very cheap database.
That's not an expensive database.
We spend thousands and thousands of dollars on databases. And they can afford access. Many of the schools can afford access. And, if you just look at just about any magazine you could possibly think of, not a lot of encyclopedias, a lot of other, these are full text resources. And, it was a lot of teacher training when we first started doing this, when I did this several libraries ago, because they used to send kids and say, oh, you can have this many online sources, but you still need a print source. And we had to convince the teachers, this is a print source. It's just accessed online.
Right.
This is an actual scholarly journal. It's, it's Journal of the American Medical Association. It's whatever. We have, tons of academic journals, other things that are available. So it should help kids with their homework. It helps you if you're laying there not sleeping and you have to buy a lawnmower, you need Consumer Reports at 2:30 in the morning, you got that. So.
Oh, that's great. So do you do this on your own, or do you do it in conjunction with the school district?
We are working with the school district to give the kids access.
But you have it now already.
We have not yet. I think it's still somewhere in legal land. So
I'm just holding this up so she can hear it.
but should be
So-
soon.
I was just gonna say that this is super, super helpful as a teacher. I, as a person, have to send my kids to school. I'll get library site all the time.
Okay.
Stuff, so, very, very great for your
So
That's
the
good.
answer is we don't have it yet.
No.
But we're working on it.
Although Katherine has a card and she can access all of our databases.
Right.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah, I understand that. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So the Lafayette Library.
But Lafayette is they're in Boulder Valley School District, I think.
So I guess I need a clarifying question there. So do we have access at our library for a standard patron
Yes.
to these databases?
Yes.
So we have the database.
Yes.
You just have to have a library card currently.
Yes.
That's the only real difference
Yes.
here. Okay, got it.
And the students are, in
So
some
we're trying to
cases,
just make
reluctant
sure that we
to
don't
get
have
on
the
library
we're trying to
card.
separate or bring together rather the haves and the have-nots. We don't want
Right.
to make it so that
No,
some
I get it.
students who have proactive parents have access to our databases and some don't.
Yeah,
That's where we're going with that.
Okay.
Is to make sure everybody has access. And
excellent.
when teachers assign things, they can find it.
Great, thanks for clarifying.
You're
I appreciate it. Do you have anything else at this point, Nancy? Okay, I'm gonna set you down, Katherine. Friends of the Library report.
Friends haven't met yet.
Gentle.
Okay,
Because we
now-
just switched our timing. The friends haven't met yet.
So it's the 24th? Or
The friends normally meet. No, the friends. I think I sent it to you. The friends normally meet the 4th Wednesday, but they're doing a combined November-December meeting on December 1st. I'm pretty sure.
I'm not sure I've seen this. But
Okay, I thought I sent it to you, but anyway, I think pretty sure that's what it is.
can you send it again just in case?
Well, I'll help you out here, so.
December 1st.
Yeah, they're doing a combined
December-
meeting.
I know I'm the one who's covering that.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure.
So I'm gonna jump ahead and Cynthia put together the list of the Friends of the Library
Yep.
attendees
Yep.
for further signatures.
Our signatures?
Your-
As to
your-
which month you
Your
want to cover.
subscription.
Well, signature means I'm like committing hardcore to something. So
Verbal, I think
But
it's
the- but-
okay,
but
but
you
it's
gotta
gotta go
do-
on a piece of paper.
But Scott, you got a twofer because you were on there for November and December. Now you just have one. So
It's like hitting the
Sold.
lottery. It's
Sold.
just like hitting the lottery.
because otherwise you would have been right in front of Christmas or New Year's.
Yeah.
Christmas and Thanksgiving, whatever those holidays are. Yes.
So maybe you can send that out with the minutes and.
when did
I think she definitely
I think
sent
she
it out
sent it
last
out.
meeting.
She sent it out, she
But she
sent
didn't
it to
know
me
what
in
it
the
was.
interim because I think she was hoping to get some responses on the outcomes.
when do they usually meet? What's that?
7.
Same time, 7.
7 in the conference room at the library.
Oh, she wants us to sign up more.
She has months out to June. I don't,
Yeah, I know, we just.
That's a
I don't
long
think they-
time
I don't-
in advance. A long time in advance.
I can update this though, so that it shows November, December as being one.
Okay.
okay, proceed or?
Sure.
Yep.
Okay. Nobody here from the city, so.
And we do not know who our council liaison is yet. And Tim did not know when he sent me something yesterday. So,
Okay, very good. Old business, budget update.
I don't have much of a budget update since last time. The budget's been passed, so we
So-
have things to purchase starting in January, which is nice. The one disappointment there is that we had asked for 3 different positions. We received one, and we didn't have a choice of which one that we asked for. So, not unhappy, but we did receive authorization to hire our bilingual outreach coordinator, which we need, but that left us without a computer lab coordinator person for an expanded computer lab. So we are taking 2 positions that have just been sitting there because they're unfillable. We had two positions that were 20-hour benefited, a category which no longer exists in the city. So 20 hours and less is part-time non-benefited. So we weren't able to
When did
hire
that
someone.
happen?
several years ago.
Really?
And they've been sitting there. So I said, well, but they're sitting there, but they're actually still funded. So I said, okay, so can we take this one, which is a lower salary rate than I would pay someone to coordinate a computer lab, and the other one, which is more at the rate, and combine them and made a 30-hour benefited position, which we need. So I got the okay for that. So we didn't get a full-time computer lab person, but we got 3/4 of it. But, you know, once again, I feel like it's the library creatively making do. So, you know,
We
we,
really just wrote library got creative.
well, it's like, you know, there used to be a financial analyst at the library, and then, you know, the library gave that up to get a PR and marketing person. Now, we haven't had a PR and marketing person since last April because they're redoing the way they do it on a city level. So, we have salary savings there, but anyway, that's just, it is what it is, the budget.
I know this is way premature, but when it comes time to do 2023's budget, will you, do you think you'll be allowed to put in all the things that you need, or do you think
No.
you'll be still
I
stuck
can,
under the
I
same
can put them
system?
in, but we all put in a lot of things, and then they are prioritized by, it's been Karen up to this point, although she'll be retired by then, so I don't know who will be doing it. But we put them in to the hopper, basically, and then we don't have any control over the prioritization of those things. So,
I got the impression this year at the beginning that since the library's been shut out so many times, that you didn't even bother. You know, it's just.
no, it's not that you don't bother, but you know, you have to be somewhat realistic, and you have to, you know, if you put in too many things without having a lot of influence on what those final choices are, you know, I don't want to put in things that I kind of want and have those chosen over things I really want. So, does that make any sense? So,
You know, we can work this. She can't, but we can.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
we usually have. I'm hoping that maybe this year we'll have a little more time, because normally we get the budget info with a very short period of time until the deadline when it's due. So I'm hoping that we have enough time to actually
Well, there's
look
probably
at
a
it and
reason,
give it to you.
for that. So,
Now, that's actually been something that's been the same every place I've worked. It's just like, it's a lot of stuff to do. They have to do, you know, we're in a fiscal year budget cycle. They do a lot of wrapping up of last year's budget and then going right into the next year's budget. So I feel like that's pretty typical. The only thing that's different here that I've had at my other libraries is that we had a mid-year budget adjustment. So you couldn't redo your entire budget, but like my last few cities, they did have midway through the year, you could say, you know, we didn't put in for this, but because this and these things have changed, we really need something. We were able to ask for at least some things mid-year, and we don't have that here. So I just thought that was a thing everywhere until we didn't have it. So.
Yeah, I think this is the time that, to pick up on Scott's inference,
Yep.
that we need to think about those
Yep.
things so we can work on the library's behalf.
Yep.
Hopefully to change it.
I think a more activist board would be useful.
That's what it's supposed to be for. So.
Hopefully that will be appreciated.
I don't know that, but I'll bet we get results.
Just as well.
Squeaky wheel.
Just from experience, I'm not sure if we appreciate it.
From the king of the activists. Okay, well, thanks for that. I know we had kind of talked about that, but I appreciated the feedback. I'm going to move on, Katherine. Update on the feasibility study. This is the one that's
Okay.
really.
Not a ton of updates, except that Annie pretty much has the situation analysis done. It's a long 30 to 40 page thing. I'm supposed to get it this week. After that, the rest of the folks who are on our kind of internal community, or committee rather, will get it, and then we're deciding how to disseminate this. Annie was waiting to get, she did a series of community stakeholder interviews. Thought she was almost done, and then it was suggested by folks in the city that she make sure that she asked all the city council members for their input, and it was crickets when I think she asked everybody 3 times. So, but she did finally hear, she was just about ready to give out the situation assessment, which is kind of the big report. And then she did hear back from Joan Peck, so she had a long conversation with her, and she heard from at least one other person. So she was folding their input in, and then I said, we had a good chatter about this, and I said it's time to cut the rope and move forward on this. So she said that she's very interesting, but she said this was one of the more interesting ones of these that she's done, because no one is non-committal that she talked to. They all had very definite opinions on what should be done with what we need for a library and what should be done with a library. So she said that was interesting because it just kept going that way, the more people that she talked to. That can be good and bad. I mean, it's good to have people with passion if that's what it is, but also it can be difficult if some of the options that look like viable options aren't whatever the person said that they were looking at. So it'll be interesting. I can't wait to see it. So I should have this in my hot little hands in the next few days, and we'll go from there. So and we'll make plans for her. We'll talk with her about how she's going to present this to council. She will come here in person.
We need to see it first.
Yeah.
That was.
Oh yes.
That's where my head
Yeah, you're
was
board.
at.
You need to see it.
Do you have a sense as to how she's gonna roll this out? I mean, are there, like Scott says, I think we would
She's
like
gonna
to
give it-
see
she's-
it before it goes to the city.
Oh, you will. That's not a problem. It goes to the little internal committee, which is like me, Karen, 2 other people, 2 other department heads of my staff. There's a couple, Kim from the museum. There's a smaller committee, and then it will go out to the board next, and then some of the internal stakeholders that we talked to, that Amy talked to about this. So you will definitely, oh my gosh, you will definitely see it before the meeting, and hopefully have input on it before it's presented. So, some of it's cut and dried. I mean, some of it is here's your square footage, here's how you compare to peers, here's what you should have, here's how much it costs. But then, then there are the recommendations of here's how much it costs, how do you do that?
Right.
So, some of it is some of the categories are less cut and dried. Technology, that encompasses a lot of stuff. But the square footage, the staff FTE, things like that are.
Do you expect that kind of be in line with the first
Yeah,
study?
I do.
And then it's just.
But it's
More of a funding,
the financial aspects of it. Of here's how much it costs to, if you have this level of sort of standard in any of those areas, here's how much it costs for a low level of delivery of services. Here's how much it costs for a median level, and here's how much it costs for an optimal or aspirational level. So. And then, she asked the question point blank, basically, of the last city council when I worked with her, and she said, "What do you want to be? This is your choice." And we were lower than low on all of them there. We're a little bit higher on some of them here. But she says, "You're at a low level for a community that values its library. So, are you going to work? Are you going to try hard for median, or do you want more?" And they went for more. So. It depends.
Here or
There, my last spot, which we almost fell over. They just acquiesced immediately, which was not typical. But they've done quite a bit since I left. They did not look at a district model, but they did. They chose instead to put up they have different kinds of stuff in Washington, but it's a different kind of tax measure, but. They chose to put up a dedicated measure to fund the library and still have it remain a city library. So, because they chose not to join with the county that was a district.
So you may not know this yet, but when do you think we would see it?
I don't know. I have to get it in my
Okay,
hand first.
so you don't know that, okay.
Yeah.
When would you guess it'll go to council? Do you know that?
I need to get it first. So,
Okay. So it all depends.
I expect to have it this week, and then, I can't wait to get my eyes on it and kind of see
I bet.
what's.
I bet.
So you guys aren't, so this preliminary board that sees it, this small group of people has no real say over what's in it. You just get to see it first, right?
We see it first. We can definitely let her know if something is not clear the way it's expressed. We don't change results or change recommendations.
Okay.
But we can, I redlined some of the ones she gave us before and just said, she's very, very smart, and she uses some terminology that I think I'm fairly smart, but some of it I went, huh? So, and just, there's some of it that we just need to make sure that we.
Dummy down for our group.
Well, she uses these lovely expressions like council-manic decisions and things that I think, does your average person know what that means?
I use that.
Of course you do. For breakfast. So I just, we read it for readability.
Yeah.
Just, do we understand what this means? But no, we do not change.
Yeah, I would hate to
No.
think that somebody in the city is going, let's not tell people about this part and stuff like that.
No, I think, that, no.
Yeah, I can't imagine a city would do that. Can't imagine that.
No, I really can't actually.
Scott may be the only person that I know that's more suspicious.
But anyway, that should be very shortly forthcoming, and I can't wait to get it. So.
Okay, well, we're
I'll be up on
we're
my
all on
dark
board with
circle.
you, so
Yeah.
we're rooting along with you.
Yes.
Okay, and I think you already mentioned
That's already
moving
been
on
sent
that's
through
in
the
front of the
sent through the
legal-
queue to the legal department and has been received by them. And they've been very quick. They did start a new kind of help ticket system in the city called Legal Star, which is similar to the way we do our facilities maintenance stuff, and it's really helped.
So you're talking about the Mosher and Epson fund
Yeah.
policy.
So I sent the board document with the policy and said, basically, is this kosher?
And just to refresh, the policy basically says we decide how to spend the board.
To me, it looks exactly like what the policy, what the Mosher Fund actually says
Was
you should do.
intended.
But just, it's always good to run it past.
Yep.
I mean, we usually get legal opinions pretty quickly.
It also says that the money moves with the library.
It does.
Which I think is a key.
So it's actually a really nice short document,
Good.
which is pretty clear.
We agree. I mean, it was designed to create
But it cannot hurt to have it
a
run past. the
fiduciary framework
Yep.
and a system of approval.
Yep.
And, it's a lot of money, and we're
Yep.
paid late for it, and we should be managing that.
Yep.
So. Boulder Library District update.
I don't really have anything new. I mean, I talked to David Farnan from Boulder Public Library a little bit, and I just said, hey, we thought your lines were a little interesting, and he said, no, nothing's set in stone.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah. So
Did you know about our lines, what we were thinking?
I told him, I said that the lines that we were thinking, well, I said we, but I said, that the
library,
group, yes, is looking at drawing are a little bit different. He didn't seem to freak out at that at all.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I had.
The other thing we talked about, of course, is things that we've already talked about here, which are, if you want hygiene to pay you money, they're gonna want a branch, which we already knew. So, people who are paying nothing for library services now, and you want them to pay something, they're gonna want something in return.
So I had seen an article in the paper that I guess is a local paper in Iowa, and they alleged that they had a couple meetings at the time of the writing, which was probably a couple weeks ago, and the first meeting was on geography, district geography, and the second meeting was going to be on funding.
Okay.
So, and I think they had like 2 a month or something like that.
Like us.
And then the other thing to look at, of course, is that Berthoud's measure went down and did not pass, which is too bad because they've really outgrown a long time ago their tiny little library. So that didn't pass, and so.
Well, yeah, because we had talked about Berthoud being potential
Yeah.
to join. So.
I think it's. I mean,
And
I
now
still
that
think
was voted down, that would be.
if a district is what is what happens, I think, looking at where the lines makes sense. Because they're little bitty and they're, they would have access to so many more materials, so. And, the only thing you really have to add is a courier that drives a little van between them. But if we have room.
Your branches are farther apart, that's all.
It does, but as a director in Kern County, we had 25 branches spread over 8,000 square miles,
Yeah.
so it's not that far. So. And actually, if we end up adding branches in Longmont, we'd already need to have a van and a driver to take things back and forth between the local branches. So.
Your discussion reminds me of something to circle back on the feasibility study. So, do you think that when this is all done and it gets reviewed to council and all the rest of it, that the library or the city has a mechanism to get information out to the community about what the feasibility study says? Is that something that would go through the marketing department? Is that something you would have to do?
No, I think a lot of it would go through the marketing
department.
department, except that, like I said, the marketing department has been revamped and centralized, and we haven't had a marketing person since last April, although we're at the brink of actually being able to hire one. So I would think that because they've gone to a somewhat more centralized model or heading that way in the city, it actually, for this type of project, is probably better, because we would have the entirety of the city's marketing team to help get this information out.
To my mind, this study is going to say a lot of interesting things
It will.
that hopefully the community is interested in hearing. And doing the study is only like half the battle.
Sure it is.
The other half is getting the message out, and how do we, as a group, think about how to get that message out?
I think there's
Does that
multiple
come through
ways.
the city, or does it come?
I think the city can actually, print or put a link to, rather, the study on the city's website, but that's not
I
going
think
to
that's
do it.
good enough.
But, no, it's not all, but that's one thing that they would do. But I do think that working with local media too, I mean, I would love to see something that's not just a squishy little article, but maybe something that has several parts to it.
Let's do a video on it.
The video would be awesome. So, think it'd be good?
And
Longmont Public Media.
There you go. But, I think that is something that we need to start thinking about, though. Is how to really disseminate this.
feeding articles to the leader and stuff like that.
Times Call is good too, Dave.
Times Call.
They will do that, they will do that.
And maybe this Courier newspaper
In Iowa.
But this is
and whoever
also,
Bertha uses, and hey, look what Longmont's doing.
and this is also, we used me and other library staff at my other libraries, and we started talking nonstop to community groups about, here's what it was, here's what happened, here's the study we did. So even some of those, like when I got here, I started talking to those, I never even heard of them before, PEO groups. It's like a philanthropic women's organization, but there's
every city's got
there's 11 of them in Longmont. So I went to several people's houses, and they had
There's
like,
a lot of rich ladies, I guess.
well, I went to people's houses and they had like 60 people there, so who didn't really know much about the library. So they were very welcoming to their other groups, I think, who, if we made speakers available to go talk to them.
I really think that's something we should really think about.
Yep.
And that dovetails into this next item E, activities of the board post feasibility studies. And we kind of asked you to take a look at it, Scott, but something like this, I mean, I think, we can all pitch in and try and figure out how to communicate this.
Well, I mean, you've just named main things to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Some of them, yeah.
yeah,
I think video is a
Ones
good
I
idea,
thought
though.
do a show on it.
Yep.
The library show, or the library district show. Call it whatever we want. How about that? We do it as the library show. But it's about what goes on with the library,
Sure.
right? What upcoming things are happening.
Mm-hmm. Now that we have stuff happening again.
The ongoing programs that are there, the resources that are available, kind of going over that. So
More than just your board, in front
And,
of the lobby that
I would love
says,
to.
hey guys,
I
this
would
is
love
what's
to
going
introduce
on.
some of our new employees. We have some new staff. We're being very purposeful in our hiring. as far as trying to diversify our staff, have more folks who speak Spanish and more languages, and
Like Russian.
we didn't go for that, but no, but we're trying to get folks, I mean, libraries and not just
Small
us.
violent enclaves north of the city.
But, you know, libraries are trying hard to look at things in different ways. It used to be that all libraries looked at when they were hiring people is a piece of paper. Where's your MLS degree? You know, and when we're looking for folks now, especially when you're trying to diversify your staff, we are looking at people who don't necessarily have library experience, but who have other life experience, who can relate to more people in the community. So, you know, customer service experience translates beautifully. We can teach you the library stuff, but we're just looking for, you know, not a bunch of old ladies like me with a bun. You know, I have a bun. You know, just trying to make sure that we're going beyond the stereotypes and having more folks.
Your own time is up to you. You want to wear that bun, that's fine.
I've never thought of you as a typical library stereotype.
I think that's a good thing.
You've not fit that.
But a lot of folks that work in libraries successfully don't fit that old stereotype. So we're actively recruiting people who don't fit that old stereotype because we want people who are not change averse and who are willing to change and move in directions that we want to go. So there's we have a different philosophy that we've already implemented there. So we have some fun, mostly younger, but not all people that have come in that are incredibly enthusiastic and do not have a library background. So.
Well, if I'm recalling this correctly, Katie has said in the past that, you know, when you talk about your programs and stuff like that, you've got a lot of things going on.
We do.
But it's how you communicate those things. That it's a communication issue. It's not a management or programming issue. It's how do you get the message out so that people understand.
I think video has been underused by us to this point, though, because I think showing people some of the things that are going on at the library, as opposed to just telling them about it. You know, taking some snippets of clips from our Hablemos groups that meet the Spanish speakers learning English, and then the Say Hello folks, those are learning English. We have two different groups. One learns Spanish and one learns English. But just the excitement of the teens when they're playing video games, you know.
So the interesting thing is that the tools that are available now are to do this kind of thing are pretty amazing. So right now what I'm doing is I'm doing a cinematic shot and it's completely automated. And when I'm done, what that is a 30-second commercial for our board.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Should I buy a smile?
Yes,
what
you
does
should.
see how it stabilizes it? It does it slow motion.
It's really awesome.
We do some music and we do
You'll have to let us know ahead of time next time.
and we do some talk over, you know, and here are the people that are leading the library, and you know, but it can be whatever you want. And
But you know, we have so many things that are picture worthy. I mean, it's the story times. Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
and the reading with the dogs and.
Yeah, you could use some.
I have a neighbor that's fascinated, Gary, that's fascinated about this reading with the dogs program.
It's awesome.
That
should be back soon.
He wants to know more about that.
Yeah, we have a lot of them. But we have great bilingual story times, we have yoga story times. And then a lot of folks, you know, you've been to a lot of our adult programs because of filming them, but we have some really interesting adult programs that nobody knows about.
Yeah.
So I've gone to quite a few of them. And
See, I think all that,
they're actually really good.
if that all gets communicated after the feasibility study comes in, then that creates a positive impression, of course, in the community, but also starts to cause people to think about what a library could be like or what it should be like. So then you get into these comments on what a 21st century library is, and people have already started to percolate up some ideas.
Well, looking at once we have this new computer lab space, and some of the things that we want to do, and part of it is open lab and part of it is classroom space, which we haven't had before. So, we want to do the online citizenship classes, for example. There are other things that I've done before in libraries that are awesome. So, some of those things, we did practice tests at my last couple libraries, real time practice tests for SATs, ACTs, GREs, so,
Mhm.
and we were really strict. But it was a good experience because, you know, it's different if you're doing it by yourself, home alone. You can cheat a little bit. You can get up and get a drink, use the bathroom, all those things. But yeah, we tried to give a real testing experience. So
Yeah, and the timing on all this may be perfect because, you know, you may be seeing a little more freedom
Yeah.
within your organization as you move into next year. And
maybe so.
that'll allow for more of this.
But just some of the changes that we've been able to make somehow.
Yeah.
Following the construction crew around like a dog and wheedling. It would be really nice if this wall could come down. So, and the wall came down. So,
It's like Jericho,
I'm
didn't it?
very crusty. So yeah, I think that would be awesome.
Okay, so we get a.
We'll start brainstorming about some of those
We're gonna
things.
keep
Because, you
that
know, whatever
going.
happens with the feasibility study, we want people to know what it says. So I'm pretty confident that it'll say things that we want to hear it say.
I mean, it's hard for me to believe that it won't identify gaps, but
It
if
will.
it mirrors
There's-
the
I mean-
first one.
Part of it is a big part of it is a gap analysis, so.
So if I could ask you to identify somebody, who is it that is, signed up for the membership here for the library? Because you're a member of Longmont Public Media.
It was probably me,
I don't think so.
but maybe it was somebody, I think it was somebody in adult services, but I told them to. I think it was probably Josie or Penny, somebody in adult services, because it had to be somebody from the group that's doing the podcast over here, I think.
Okay, so that's what we should get involved in.
Yeah.
So we have a member meeting every other Wednesday night,
Okay,
and we should,
let me find out who that was, because I'm
See-
pretty sure it's one of the ladies in the podcast group.
see if you can get somebody to start participating in that member meeting. Because that's where you get resources, that's how you get volunteers to help with stuff, that's how you get cameramen and
Okay.
producers and
Okay,
sound guys and all the stuff you would need to put a show on, so.
okay, that's good.
And, and I can kind of direct that.
Okay.
From, but I need some backup from you. If I do it all by myself, it'll just be me doing it all by myself again, so.
Okay. No, I think that these ladies and gentlemen in the adult services area who started out kind of shy about the whole thing, they really enjoy doing the podcast and they want to get into more
Good.
stuff.
Excellent.
So that definitely was a good COVID event that came from that. Is that a lot more staff became more comfortable with online programming, so which is good. And that's the trick now, is that I would like to continue to do a lot of virtual programming along with the in-person programming, because obviously we have folks who don't come out at night, or who don't. We have, there's a lot of seniors who don't like to drive at night when it's dark, and we have other folks that it's so much more convenient for them.
And you have capacity issues on your programs.
We have what?
You used to have
We do.
capacity
We do
issues, so
sometimes, yeah.
this can help with your capacity.
And like Boulder's done a bang up job with that, and they have such huge numbers, but they have an auditorium on that. But they have such huge numbers for their programs, and they said that people really loved the fact that they weren't always missing out on the programs because they couldn't get tickets.
Do they have something like the museum?
It's not as big as that, but they do have an auditorium.
They have an auditorium.
It's nice.
It's not as big as.
Nice
the
one.
But we have a better one though?
Yeah, for the museum. Good. They have a nice makerspace. They have a nice library. As you go past the main library part, you go through kind of an atrium lobby, and there's a nice playground for kids outside, and there's a lot of seating with windows on either side, and they have a nice little coffee shop that also does sandwiches, salads, that kind of stuff. So it's more lunch than just coffee. Then you keep going, and then there are several public meeting rooms, a fairly big auditorium, and a big makerspace. So
You
they
can
have
do a
kind
lot
of
with an $8 to $10 million budget.
well, if they want 20, so yeah, you can.
We can do more with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Good discussion. Longmont Library District Committee. I'll just pass along a couple things that have been happening here. It's still meeting. Picked up a few members, which is encouraging. Hopefully they'll stick. These people seem to be good activist type people, so we'll see how all that goes. We're working on how to engage the community. So some of this discussion that we just finished having mirrors some of the discussion that occurred last meeting with that group as to how to get good things out about the library community and good things out about the benefits of the district to the community. So it all goes kind of hand in hand kind of thing. I think I mentioned to you, Nancy, that we're trying to reach out to both Lyons and Berthoud, and if I would get like an icebreaker call, that would be wonderful. And
From Nancy.
I know the
from
director.
Nancy.
Yeah.
From Nancy.
I was just gonna let them know that you were gonna reach out to them, so it's not a cold call.
Yeah, we would like just basically to meet them.
Okay.
And
Let them know that there are these guys who want to talk, and when they call you, you should give them a little bit of time.
And then hopefully, they'll show up at one of these meetings and give us their feedback or tell us to go take a hike. And we'd like to do something similar to that with the city, with the election and all that. The transition's been, I don't want to say too exaggerated, but it's been a little exaggerated, but there'll be conversations with Mayor Peck and others to see if we can get them thinking about a district as well, so. You don't have to put all that in there,
Well, rework it after
Yeah.
this.
Well, basically, we need to figure out what the politics is now. That's what it comes down to. Boulder is very much behind a library district.
And they weren't
and
before.
they were not.
But they have a lot of turnover on their, I didn't look that up and I need to, because that's one thing that, the director said that there's they were supposed to have a lot of turnover on their city council.
Oh, you mean in the elections?
And I did not look at their election results,
Hmm. So that would be good or bad for them?
we don't know.
I see what you're saying, okay.
It all depends on,
And we don't know either here, that's
it all
exactly,
depends on who it is.
that's
So.
exactly where we stand.
Because they had, when they started this in Boulder 5+ years ago, they had one set of folks, and then they had some new people come in, and then the pendulum kind of swung, and then they don't really
Where is
know.
it at now?
Yeah.
We started 3 years ago, and it was very much, they were against it. So, or at least some key members of the council were against it. And today, we don't know. I've heard both sides. That some are against, some are for, but I don't know. That's what we need to figure out. You're meeting with Joan?
24th, I'm sitting down with her, trying to update her on hopefully what some of the feasibility study says and mention some of the other things going on in the community and try and engage her interest.
And this is going to have a big impact on how successful we think we can be doing this. Because do we want to go against the city again? Because that's what I was doing before when I first started this. And it did not go well. So
Goes better if everybody holds
Yeah.
hands and sings kumbaya, so.
that's right. So that's where we need to start, is to figure out where the city council's at and then work this out in a community fashion.
Not to change the subject, because I agree with that, but something else I recall reading about with respect to Boulder's process is that they went out and they said, submit an application to be a part of this IGA
We did.
group, and of the 37 that they received, they picked 12. But what I also read was that come somewhere around April or whatever, the city gets to figure out whether they want those people on
To be the
board
board.
as part of the trustees.
They also get to
Yeah.
pick the 12, right? City staff pick the 12.
Pick
I
the
be- I
12,
believe they
pick
did.
the 12,
Yeah.
and 2 are from the Niwot
They are.
Gundere area, so.
One is a realtor and one is, I can't think of the other.
Yeah, so they had some
Yeah.
method to their
Yeah.
madness, so to speak. So. We should do as well.
Having a reaction to that, and I'm not going to say anything right now.
Discretion.
We have a great city staff, but I don't know how much a city staff should direct this kind of stuff. But I don't know. I've never done one of these before, other than my one failed attempt. So, maybe I should try something new. Maybe this is the way that it works. I don't know. Let's figure it out.
I say practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
I think you're getting better. So
There you go.
I think
All right.
you're learning as you go. Library Foundation, other than the fact that this group has kicked it around a little bit, I don't
We don't
have
have anything yet.
anything going. Do you have
No.
anything on that? Okay, I think that wraps up our old and new business since we covered off the liaison issue. Anybody have any comments? Any comments, Catherine? You still there?
That's all right. Katie's putting, laugh here in the minutes.
Trust us, it wasn't that joking.
If you want to review the meeting again, you'll be able to on longmontpublicmedia.org in the next couple days.
Wisely so.
So when will we know our new liaison?
We don't know. Tim didn't know either.
Yeah, it's whenever they vote on it.
We thought it would be, Karen originally said she thought it would have happened already, but
Yeah, usually
but
they
she
do it
was
right away.
surprised that, because she was the one that let me know that it hadn't happened yet.
They really went out. I was part of the last meeting, and they were like, they ended at 9:30, and they're making a point of not running these 4-hour meetings anymore.
And aren't they gonna maybe go every other?
Yeah, they're looking at it.
Oh, well, not every other. They said like 3 a month.
So yeah, they want to do less meetings, and they want to do less time in the meetings. So
So I'm not quite sure how that'll work, but
So do you think tomorrow night if there is a meeting, do you think that'll be resolved tomorrow?
I don't know. I mean, Tim didn't know, Karen didn't know, I don't know. So,
new mayor, new agenda.
So be it.
I don't know how it all works, to tell you the truth. I mean,
Well,
I
the mayor
don't,
sets the agenda. So
no, but I mean, I don't know how the choosing who is picked for the groups works.
they just meet.
But
when
I mean,
see-
I know you get to express a preference
It's
or
a study-
preferences.
It's usually in a study session.
Yeah.
And they just, that's what they do. They say, I want to do that,
Yeah.
And
It's
if
usually more than one of you.
Yeah.
And if nobody volunteers, they say, well.
somebody gets assigned.
Yeah.
So, but if more than one wants to, they like fight it out in the room. It's,
Okay.
verbally. So, like, I want it, and here's why. So, but it's,
Huh, okay.
that's
That's
how they
interesting.
generally do it.
Would be a
And,
fly on the wall, but
yeah, it's pretty, well, it's public, so.
yeah.
It's pretty simple, and they kind of shoot through it pretty quickly. They all kind of know what they want to do.
Well, yeah, I can
and they're all,
understand that.
they all acquiesce to each other pretty quickly.
Well,
So
I mean, they all know
so-
what people's interests are,
Yeah.
so.
And there's, they've got shots at multiple organizations, so they may trade them off. They say, okay, you do golf, I'll do the library or something like that.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have the most interesting board though
I
this
was
next
gonna
year.
say, historically, the library's not been top on the list, but I think this year it'll be.
This year it might be, it just seems like there's a lot
Pretty
more council interest in
contentious.
general in the board, in the library, so.
See, if you're, once you're a crutch much, and you can do that sort of thing.
Squeaky wheel. You're just being so politic. I'm watching her. She's like, her tongue is bleeding. I can see.
I've learned patience in my old age.
Good.
All right, I have nothing more. Does anybody have anything they want to add at this point? All right, I will call this thing over at 8:23 by my watch.
All right.
Thank you all.
Bye, Catherine.
Feel better.
Thanks, Catherine. Good luck.